Hello, welcome to episode, I believe this is 108 of Meet the Experts. I am your host, Jay Vix with Journey Builder and JVI Mobile Marketing. And today we have another fun episode lined up. If you are watching this for the first time and you've never seen an episode and you're like, what is this guy about to talk about? Meet the Experts is I call it the anti-podcast. And the reason I call it the anti-podcast is really it's video content creation for small business owners. And what I mean by that is we have small business owners that need some extra video content, have them on our show, and then we give the video to that business owner to use in their marketing. So it's kind of becomes their podcast. We don't upload to all the major platforms and try to promote our name. We really want to use this as some value that we can give people that are out there busting their butts in their communities, trying to build a business for themselves and their family. So today, no different. But if you want to learn how to be a guest on a future episode of Meet the Experts, stick around till the end of the episode where I will give you the instructions and a website that you can go to become a guest. So let's turn our attention now to my buddy Joe Fields, who's going to come up here in just a second with JPS Services. JPS is a rising name in the tree removal and ground service industry here in the Triad. They are local. I actually am in a networking group with Joe every single Monday, part of the Guilford Merchants Association. They're making a name for themselves by being on time, efficient, and offering very fair pricing. So grading, tree removal, we're going to talk about all that cool stuff today, but we can't talk about it until I bring Joe up. So Joe, how are you, my friend?
Jay, great. How are you doing this afternoon?
Awesome. And I'm really glad we've been talking about doing this episode for probably a couple months, and I'm glad we finally got it on the books and are able to talk about your business a little bit. So let's get started.
We have.
Yeah.
We've been slammed with customers here in the Triad, and finally right here at the holidays we get a break. So I figured this would be a great time to kind of share and reflect some of the things that have happened this year and over the last couple of years in business.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about business. So first of all, I'm just pulling up my questions over here that I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
So you have this business that I think it's probably not a lot of people think about on the day-to-day basis, but what inspired you to build a business that kind of breaks the mold of specialized service providers and tackles every ground service challenge imaginable?
Well, people don't necessarily think of us, like you said, on a day-to-day basis, but when they do, typically it's something that they need done yesterday. I know that, the last couple of years have been kind of tough on everyone, and everyone's just trying to, get by with what they need done, and then kind of set their wants aside. But if you've got a tree hanging over your house, or you've got an erosion issue that's only gotten worse over the last few years, you need us right then and there. And when we get to a situation like that, we try to offer what I call a turnkey solution to those problems. People don't want to call multiple contractors for something like that. I think that if they have a one and done person or a one and done solution to an issue like that, they're way more, they sleep better at night. I think, Jay. I think that when they don't feel like, okay, well, when this process is over, I'm going to have to re-interview 10 different contractors to figure out which one I like for this. I think that having an all around project solution tends to fit people's budgets and their mentality of need it done yesterday a lot better.
I could not agree more. As a matter of fact, my wife and I just had our kitchen done. We had it remodeled. This is going back 6 months ago now. And when we were evaluating and looking at different people to do the remodel, we had a couple people come in and they're like, oh, we're just going to be like the project managers and we can help give you recommendations, but you're going to have to line up all the different people, the plumber, the electrician, the this, the that. And we're like, we don't want to do that. We don't know what we're doing. So we finally found an all-in-one company that would get us those contractors, but they would arrange it. They would schedule it. They would take care of it. And we just paid the one place and we got everything taken care of. And trust me, that peace of mind of knowing that like we only have one phone call to make and anything that needs to get done will get done. Like what you offer is way better and made us feel so much better as we went through that process.
Imagine if you had to have a different contractor for the appliances, a different contractor for the countertops, and a different contractor for the cabinets.
Mm-hmm.
It would drive you crazy trying to get insight on who you're bringing into your home, who you're bringing onto your property, and it does work better when it's a one-stop solution. And our contractors, we don't shop contractors. We own our own equipment, and anybody that I bring onto a job site is typically somebody that we have done multiple jobs with in the past, and they're people I trust. They're people that I talk to on a weekly basis, whether it be with work or just to conversate about how business is going. I know the owners of these companies, and I know who's going to be there, and I know what they're going to deliver.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, let's talk about some of the projects that you do. I mean, some of them seem like they might be really complex. So do you have any good stories of maybe a project that was extremely complex or even difficult, and then your skill set was able to save the day for a customer?
Just about every project I get on ends up being somewhat complex. And the
Right.
reason why is because people tend to underestimate what goes into a project like this. But for example, I had a gentleman locally that had the idea that he wanted to fix the erosion problems in his yard and build his yard up by acquiring all the dirt from a car wash that was being built locally near him. So when we arrived on scene, he had around 130 tandem loads of dirt piled up in his yard. And his contractor, who he had agreed to do this with, did not have the equipment or the capabilities to handle something like this. So his yard. It was interesting looking, Jay, but we told him, we said, look, we do have the equipment, we do have the know-how, we do have the skill to take care of this. And actually, in the end, we finished 2 days ahead of schedule. I think it only took us 4 days instead of 6 to take care of that job with two different pieces of equipment on site. Things like that happen a lot. We have a lot of people who tell us, well, we just need to clear land. Well, when you clear land, you're if you don't immediately sow it with something or grass, they call it grassroots campaigns for one particular reason. It's grassroots, and grassroots hold the soil together. They're what hold the ground together once you remove trees and forestry. But a lot of people don't understand the things that go into it just to keep from having that construction site look. And everyone knows what a new construction site looks like. You see it on the road in front of it, and you see all the tracks. So we don't want to have that when we leave.
Right. Interesting. No, that's awesome. That's it was very visual. I had so many visuals going through my head
Right.
as you were describing that, and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want that. If you left afterwards, I would want it that looks kind of at least put back together. Um,
Yeah.
you describe your team as problem solvers rather than just equipment operators or landscapers. And why do you refer to yourselves as problem solvers more so than maybe the more common terms?
Well, simply put, anybody that I hire to, and the reason I say this, I hire people to work with me, not for me. And the reason I say that is because the people that I work with and work alongside of me, they have to give at least a level of care somewhat compared to what I do. Um, I tell people, look, the day doesn't always end at 5 o'clock, or the day doesn't always end once we think things are done. Before we leave a job, one of the things I like to do is have the customer come out, and we fully agree that they're satisfied with the work that we do. I don't think I've ever left a job without that. Actually, a few weeks ago, I had to wait 45 minutes for a customer to get there, but I sat there with my operator, and I made sure that he was happy with the work that was done. And people really do appreciate things like that, Jay. They
Sure.
really do appreciate having someone there to agree in person with a handshake that the job's complete. And my guys understand. And sometimes it does cost a little bit more to have people, wait at the job site, but I really do care more about customer satisfaction than I do just pure profit. I know a lot of companies that do that, and we're not one of them.
Right. Well, that's awesome. I love that kind of going the extra mile, making sure that you get that handshake, that good word, that people are happy. I've also had things done at my house where, somebody's come, done some work and left. And then when I get home, it's like I'm making the call back and being like, well, I didn't quite like this, or I would have wanted this differently. And then it's now typically we're working with good companies and they might come back out. But like you said, then it's expensive for them. It's a hassle on us, and it's better to have that person that can get that final sign off and to go the extra mile to do that. Whether it's sitting, a lot of people think, oh, sitting 45 extra minutes. Well, at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, when you've got a family at home that's waiting on you to sit there, like that's a sacrifice you're making too, but you're making it because you really do care about the work that you do. And I think that's really important to mention. How important that actually is and why going that extra mile means so much to clients. So I think that's pretty awesome. Let's talk about, like, obviously we don't get into business to hate life, right? We don't start a business typically for something we hate,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
We want the rewards, and the rewards come in many different ways. So if I were to ask you, what is the most rewarding part about being the Triad's one-stop shop for ground services? How would you answer that?
Well, it all goes back with me to I did 10 and a half years in the service. And, I was promoted very young. Um, and so to me, gratification or feeling like that people accept and agree with what I say, is very important to me. It's really hard to lead uh, people when they don't necessarily believe you or accept what you're going to do. And I don't get me wrong, I totally understand that, but word of mouth travels a long way. And when people say that what you do is great, your prices are fair, and you're a stand-up guy, you come into the situation with a lot better mentality than someone who's just simply price shopping and blowing through the contractors. So what I find rewarding about the whole thing is when I hear a review about me from someone who had some work done by us, and they feel like that we did a good enough job for them that they could tell somebody else about us, and that person going in says, hey, so and so said you did a great job. I trust their opinion. And, let's go into this with a positive attitude starting off. And that type of thing is the biggest reward I think a small business owner could have, because word of mouth is 10 times better than a commercial or a billboard or something like that. So I find that really rewarding, Jay.
I couldn't agree more. The spray and pray advertising is fine and good, but you're not going to get very many customers that way. That you'll get a few, but there's nothing like getting a positive review or that referral or that recommendation from somebody, and it's almost like a slam dunk that you'll get that sale too, because the person who referred you is a better salesperson, I think, sometimes than anybody else, because that's why reviews are so important, right? Like, you have reviews on Google for a reason. And those are like, whenever I get a referral from a client, I go into it feeling great, and I go into it feeling like, well, we're going to get this client because our existing clients are pushing them to us. And it's a lot easier to have that conversation when you've got somebody to vouch for you. So I absolutely love that. I have just a couple more questions for you. And by the way, if anybody wants to check out JPS Services, right there at the bottom of the screen, if I come over here and go backwards, you'll see it. JPS Services, a one-stop shop for any outdoor service need, including but not limited to tree removal, grading, and erosion control. Do you have a website currently that I could tell people to go to?
I do, Jay. The link to it's a little bit different than the name of the company. It's jpsgrading.com. That's jpsgrading.com. It's a little bit different name, but when we found the domain, we knew it was right. And JPS like our normal name, and then instead of services, the word grading.com. It's a beautiful website. Feel free to check it out. We've got a lot of pictures on there, a lot of insight, and a lot of info.
Awesome. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you spelled it a few times. That's perfect. All right, a couple more questions for you.
Shoot.
A lot of businesses, they bring somebody on, and their job is to do this one job, this one specific task, and that's all you really care for them to do. But there's no way for them to move laterally or do other things. And sometimes I think some people thrive in that environment, but most people, I think, get stagnant. So you talk about the idea of cross training. So how has cross training your team changed the game for both your business and your customers?
Well, if you think about something like building a skyscraper or a hospital or a highway that's heavily regulated, I could see that as being beneficial. Everybody knows their place, everyone knows their role, and things typically go about as fast as you see a highway get built. Uh, but in the world of a small business like this, we don't have time, nor do we want to waste a customer's time with telling them, hey, tomorrow we're going to have a different person here, then the next day we're going to have to have a different person there. In a lot of cases, I go out myself and handle it. But the way that we cross train people is if excuse me, if someone needs to, let's say, install a pipe under a driveway, well, not only are they going to be able to install that pipe, they're also going to be able or capable of going to the quarry to get gravel. They're going to be there with the concrete contractors to re-pour whatever section that we may have taken up, and then they're going to be able to seed and straw it behind us with the correct materials so that the customer's not waiting multiple days for a project to be finished. You don't know how complicated and hard, especially this time of year during the winter, these projects make things, because I call it a North Carolina winter, Jay. It's 50 degrees and raining. One day it'll be 30, the next day it's 70. So we never know what we're dealing with. So the sooner we can get a project done correctly, the better. And that's the reason anybody that I bring on, a lot of the guys that we have not only know how to climb trees, take down trees, but they also know how to run the equipment to clean the mess up. And then the next day they might go do something like a small landscaping job or a grading job. And it's easier for me to have people who I think can handle multiple tasks at a job rather than have a bunch of people who do specific things. And the process just takes longer, in my opinion, and we don't want that.
Sure. I love that. I actually love that answer. And I think that, it's something that's really important. And as a small business owner, even bringing on contractors, bringing on people to help, you can only bring on so many because it gets too complicated. So I agree. Even in our industry, in the marketing industry, I have people that, they might be creating graphics and some other stuff one day, if that's in their skill set, and then doing a marketing automation or building an AI tool another day, but making sure that they're trained and they know how to do those things. Getting those skill sets, not only does it help you, it helps them. It helps make them more valuable in the marketplace.
Exactly.
I've often talked about this cartoon, this comic that I saw a long time ago. It's these two businessmen, and they were talking. And the one guy says to the other, he says, well, what happens if I train my people and they leave me? And the other guy looks back and he's like, what happens if you don't train them and they stay? And I've always thought about that as like, yeah, you can't live in fear that somebody's going to leave because you helped them acquire a new skill set. You just have to say, wow, thank God, and treat them right to try to keep them. But you always run that risk. But I would much rather have the people that can do, wear many hats under my umbrella than just somebody who might do one thing, but they're scared to do anything else. Right.
So picture every day we all go through it. We all go through road construction somewhere in the state of North Carolina. They're updating the infrastructure as far as the roads in North Carolina, and we all sit there and go, wow, when are they going to finish this project? If you go to
Mm.
Winston-Salem, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But everyone just keeps thinking, well, if that guy standing over there leaning against a piece of equipment knew how to do more jobs out here, maybe this would get finished quicker. And that to me is why I cross train my people, because having 30 people to do the job that I believe 10 people or even five or even two could do is way more beneficial to not only me, but it's a great benefit to the customer so we can get in, get the project done, and get back on with life.
There you go. There you go. Saves time, saves money, more efficient. Love it. All of that. Joe, this has been an awesome interview. I've got one final question for you before I let you go, and I told you it was going to go fast. Um, and we kind of touched on this earlier about kind of having multiple people and the homeowner or business owner having to find and select them and interview them and find out who's right. So what is your message to property owners like me? I own a home with land. What's your message to property owners who are just tired of having to juggle multiple contractors for their needs and specifically for their ground service needs?
Well, my short answer would be call us. But no, the main thing that I would say is that there is hope out there. I know that a lot of people, their first instinct is to go with the larger companies, the ones who have bloated marketing budgets and the people who can, get the top rank on Google. And that unfortunately is not us. But at the same time, I think that we not only want your business, we want to earn your business. And when you give the little guy a shot and you don't go with the largest bloated company you can find, I think you sometimes get a lot better result. We're not growing, and people aren't hearing our name and spreading the word about us on accident. We're definitely, we're making strides to not only get the business but to keep the business and have return customers. In this industry, a lot of times there's not necessarily return customers, but it's really great to hear a new customer tell us that an old customer told them how fantastic we are. So that type of thing, like I said, we really value it. And if you're tired of getting the runaround of maybe even people who you've called that won't give you a price or won't call you back. Typically, we're out there within 1 to 2 days to look at the job, and then we can usually get on the job within 5 working days. So, if you're tired of getting the runaround, or you're getting sticker shock from some of the larger companies, give us a call and see if there's something we can't, come up with for you that not only meets your budget, but meets your time restraints as well.
I'm just going to wrap up. Thank you. That's an awesome answer, and I love that. And the longer I've gotten to know you, and it's probably been close to a year or so since we met for
Getting
the
there,
first time.
yeah.
I feel like it's one of those things where you really have to think about. Like, as I've gotten to know you, I start thinking about these things in my yard, in my property, or things that I see, and I'm like, I wonder. Joe it's probably what he really does. Because I think for a lot of people, when we think of ground services or grading or tree removal is pretty self-explanatory, but grading and moving dirt, right? Moving the earth around. A lot of times you don't kind of always think about that as like, who is there a company that specifically does that? And getting to know you, now I'm very critical, and I'm kind of like, I'm writing a list of things that I'm probably going to need for you to ultimately do at my property. And that's good, but that goes to what we were saying. The whole point of the whole theme, I think, of what you were saying was about building relationships and doing good work and finding people that you can trust, that you can, that will refer you, when they know somebody that needs these types of things, and not just going to Google and picking one, like throwing darts at a board because they had a bigger marketing budget. So I really feel like building the trust, and you are that kind of company, you are that kind of guy. And I think that that speaks volumes for you. And I wish you the best of luck. And thanks for being a part of Meet the Experts today.
You're welcome, Jay. And I'll leave you with this. You talked about being a homeowner or property owner. I'm a homeowner as well. I'm a veteran, I'm a father, and I'm a man of God. And one thing that I can tell you is that we genuinely care about our customers and the problems they face. And I can tell you that a lot of the problems that people face with their homes, as far as sunlight, as far as grass not growing, it all stems from trees, erosion, and land management. And those things are what we do every single day. And we would be happy to meet with any of your clients or customers about it. So thanks for having me, Jay.
Awesome. I appreciate it. By the way, thanks for your service. I want to mention that earlier, and just keep rocking and rolling, my friend. I'm glad we finally were able to get this thing recorded, man. Have a wonderful day.
Hey, Jay. Thank you. Thanks again.
Absolutely. All right, Joe Fields, JPS Services. Go ahead and look it up, JPS Grading online. And I did mention at the beginning that if you hung around till the end and you were thinking, man, I would like to do something like that for my business and be a guest on Meet the Experts, that I would tell you how to do it. So here we go. If you would like to be a future guest on Meet the Experts, all you have to do is go over to www.meettheexpertspodcast.com, www.meettheexpertspodcast.com, and look through the page. Fill out the form. You'll book your sound check. We'll get together. We'll get to know a little bit more about you and your company, and we will schedule a time to record, just like I did with Joe. I also wanted to say one last final statement today. Meet the Experts is powered by Journey Builder. Our entire guest process from meettheexpertspodcast.com all the way through till after this interview, we power it with our all-in-one customer relationship management and marketing software tools, marketing automation, and AI. If you're interested in learning how you can boost your online presence, nurture more leads, get more leads, and convert those leads, and then stay in touch with those customers, probably be a good idea while we're doing our Meet the Experts sound check to talk about that. Anyway, our next episode will be coming up soon. I know right now we're recording. It's the first early in the month of December. I don't know if this was the last one for the year or not, but it might be. So if I don't have another episode prior to Christmas and New Year's, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays. Covering everything under one umbrella there. And we'll see you soon with our next episode. Take care, everybody.